Hello all, I welcome my viewers and my students to my YouTube channel Political Science, and today I'll be talking on India's pathway to becoming a global superpower. This topic is common for most of the IR papers, so you can refer it and then you can connect it also with the new upcoming events. And I wish all of you all the best for your paper. Do well and write good answer. Okay, so let's continue with this discussion on India's pathway journey towards a global superpower. Now, India's journey is not if we want to argue that India's journey has many stages. So the first, if we talk about that, this presentation delves into India's remarkable journey now becoming a global superpower. So what are the things that we try to understand here, examine here? That there are multifaceted dimensions of its rise. Now, what are those dimensions? We will explore the nation's economic dynamism, growing military prowess, sophisticated diplomatic engagements, and groundbreaking technological innovations. Now, understanding these pillars is crucial for grasping India's increasing influence on the global world stage. Now, why India's influence, India's image on the world stage is rising? Now, we need to understand and why that particular idea is really very important for making India a global superpower. Now, recent, I'll also talk about the recent happenings, the recent data I have argued through one article by Ram Madhav, which argues about $5 trillion and beyond. So, the that particular article I have tried to incorporate the few important points what he has argued, and then in the description also of this video I'll put a link of that. If you want, you can read it, and it's a very good article. Very excellent articulation is there regarding India's global rise. So this important topic you can connect with that particular content also. Now, if we analyze the vital role of socio-political stability now in sustaining this growth alongside the challenges that lie ahead, our discussion will conclude with a strategic roadmap for India's continued ascent, offering insights into policy recommendations and a long term vision for its global role. Now, introduction to India's rise. Now, if we try to understand how India has risen, now India has a civilization that has lasted thousands of years, marked by diverse cultures, languages, and flourishing empires that made it a center of trade, culture, and spirituality. Now, post independence nation building. Following independence, India adopted a democratic framework and prioritized economic self reliance, shaping a resilient socio political structure and diverse economy that supports its global re emergence. Now, if we talk about the economic resurgence, now what are the most important points that we need to understand here? Now, high growth rates. India has consistently demonstrated robust GDP growth, becoming one of the fastest growing major economies globally. This sustained expansion is fueled by strong domestic demand, increasing investments, and a rising middle class. Now, liberalization policies. Decades of economic reforms, including deregulation and privatization, they have transformed India into a more open and competitive market. These policies have attracted significant foreign investment and fostered a dynamic business environment. Now, as far as infrastructure development is concerned, massive investments in infrastructure such as modern highways, ports, and smart cities are there, which is giving rise to more efficiency and effectiveness in the economy. Then India's economic trajectory is marked by significant reforms and infrastructure development, These initiatives are not only boosting domestic productivity but also solidifying its position as a key player in the global economy. The continuous focus on creating a conducive business environment is attracting more international partners and capital. Now, emerging markets and investment hub. So you can talk about the how India has risen as emerging markets, global markets. What role does FDI has? So India has become a magnet for FDI due to its vast market size, skilled workforce, and then favorable investment policies. These three factors are there. Now, global corporations are increasingly looking towards India for manufacturing services and then research and development opportunities. Trade relations, if we see, then also we need to understand then trade ties they have been strengthened with major global economies as Russia, USA, China. India is continuously trying to do that. It is working on it. The startup ecosystem. Startup is a very important factor. A thriving startup ecosystem, particularly in technology and digital services, is positioning India as a hub of innovation. Government initiatives and private investments are nurturing new businesses, driving job creation and technological advancement. Now, India's appeal as an emerging market is undeniable, which is driven by a robust inflow of FDI and expansion of trade relations. So, if you can talk about these three factors, it will make your answer more good. Now, demographic advantage. Now, what does demography has benefit? Whether demography has a certain benefit on India's market, we need to understand. So, why demography is something which we need to understand the population. Now, how it gives you dividend, how it gives you benefit. Now, India's young population. India has one of the youngest populations if we look at globally, with a large proportion under 35 years old, providing a significant demographic advantage. Now, impact on labor force. Obviously, since the youthful demographic expansion helps in the expansion of labor force, it helps in economic growth, positioning India as a global superpower. Now, there are few challenges also of population growth. So, rapid population growth, it demands substantial investments in major infrastructure, social sectors, and so for that government needs to invest on that, so that becomes a challenge also. But then apart from challenge, how it is boosting the economy also, that we need to understand. Then this is the most important slide which I believe, since it is talking about the military strength, a pillar of regional stability. And as we have recently seen in the Operation Sindoor, how military preparedness, how military capability and military you can say intelligence helps us to cope up with the challenges which are coming across the border lines, and then the terrorism, the Naxalism challenges, the challenges of extremism. Now, the modernization of armed forces. Now, India is undergoing extensive military modernization. Now, acquiring advanced weapons and technologies to enhance its defense capacities as well as capabilities. Now, this includes upgrading its air force, navy force, army force with state of the art equipment. Then the second is nuclear arsenal. As a declared nuclear power, India maintains a credible minimum nuclear deterrence, ensuring its strategic security and acting as a significant factor in regional stability. This capability underscores its non proliferation commitment. Then the strategic alliances. Now, India is forging strong strategic relations with major global powers, including, as I told you, America, Russia, France, through joint military exercises and defense agreements. Now, there are various defense agreements which have taken place. You can also talk about that. Now, these partnerships, they enhance its geopolitical influence and they contribute in regional peace and stability. India's military strength is a critical component of its global power projection, as we have recently seen, and no doubt government needs to inculcate more, you can say, economic investment in this particular field, so that we can we can cater more towards the national security and national interest concerns. So the under approved by continuous modernization is needed, and a formidable nuclear formidable arsenal is there. So these capabilities are not just for self defense, but it also play a crucial role in maintaining regional stability. Now it is not only for defense but also for stability, so we need to understand that the nation's stability, the nation's strategic alliances will further help in making its position more stronger, which will reflect a growing network of partnerships and a collective security and shared interests. Then global diplomacy and soft power influence. Now if we look into how the idea of soft power has emerged, you can talk about Joseph Nye and Robert Cohen's power and interdependence, and then the power how soft power he's talking about. The United Nations involvement is there when we are talking about the soft power concern. Then climate change initiatives are there, a leading voice in climate action. India is championing renewable energy and sustainable practices, contributing substantially to global efforts to combat these climate change. So its initiatives like the International Solar Alliance demonstrate proactive and environmental leadership. Now for soft power, the cultural influence India has. So this is very important. India's rich cultural heritage, including yoga, Ayurveda, and Bollywood, enjoys immense global popularity, acting as a powerful soft power tool. This culture appears appeal fosters goodwill and strengthens international ties, showcasing India's diverse traditions. Now various diaspora engagement are there, NRIs are there coming, and then then people from India, they are going abroad, they are trying to contribute something for the other countries, also imbibing their values of India's how rich heritage is there. Then India's diplomatic endeavors, it extends far beyond traditional statecraft, encompassing a robust soft power. To robust soft power here means strategy that leverages its cultural richness and vibrant diaspora and vibrant connection through active participation in international forums like the UN and leading global climate initiatives. So you can include more how soft power and cultural diplomacy is helping India to showcase its own image as a global superpower. So it is holding high its own cultural diversity, and within those cultural diversity, India's image is brightening, and more people are coming to know about India's soft power. Then technological innovations, India as a global IT hub. We have already talked about in the previous slide that how through economic investments we are also looking into the global IT hub. That the ISRO mission, the Indian Space Research Organization, has achieved remarkable milestones, including cost effective lunar and Mars mission, connecting India's position in space exploration. So these achievements, they highlights India's indigenous capabilities. So India's indigenous capabilities, capacities, and scientific prowess, they are very very important. So India, if it is working on this space technology, IT, and making it more and more innovative, and strengthening it, then no doubt it is going longer in the global image. Then socio-political stability, foundations of a superpower. Now socio-political, the term here signifies, now when we talk about the democratic institutions, India has a rich heritage, you can say history of democratic framework, including fair election processes and independent judiciary. It provides a stable foundations for governance. These institutions, they ensure accountability, they uphold rule of law, they are critical for long term growth. Then if we talk about the governance reforms, there are various governance reforms which are taking place, and we have more of good governance taking place. Then Education and healthcare. India is continuously investing on education and healthcare and expanding its access for more quality education and healthcare. Then poverty alleviation also, if we see, then extensive social policies they are aiming at poverty alleviation, such as a direct transfer, benefit transfer to the women and to the people who are below poverty line. Then rural employment schemes are there. So like India's journey like towards superpowered status is firmly rooted in its socio-political stability, and this stability comes from where the democratic, the you can say the background is the democratic institutions, which is talking about rule of law, which is talking about the global governance, the multiple governance, focusing on social security, focusing on inclusive idea of development. So these are the basic which makes India more superpower. Then India's economic growth journey. Now this article, this topic which I have taken few points from the Ram Madhav's article I told you, to dollar 5 trillion and beyond. And so in this article he's talking about India's how India overtook Japan in May 2025, becoming the fourth largest economy at dollar 4.19 trillion. Now the journey began in 1947 with a dollar 33 billion economy weakened by British exploitation. Now Nehru's Soviet style of economic planning, it led to slow growth, which reaching dollar 266 billion in 40 years. Now, economic liberalization in 1991 and Narasimha Rao also tried to unlock entrepreneurial potential. The digital revolution propelled India's services economy to 60% of GDP, expanding dollar 2 trillion by 2014. Now, in within this economic growth journey, our honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's efforts, government's effort is remarkable. While if we see into the area of Stand Up India, Startup India, Make in India campaign, which is focusing on the faster growth. Now India's GDP reached dollar 4.19 trillion, surpassing Japan, whose economy shrank to 14.18 trillion. Now this per capita is not the best measure of growth due to India's large population. So we need to understand. So economic and social indicators are also there. Consumption patterns, so MPCE increased 2.5 times in a decade, with spending on travel, health, education. Tourism also has also expanded. So growth also has expanded to an extent, or strengthening the idea of middle class. And then we are also looking into the below poverty line and trying to contain this and work on the poverty alleviation schemes. So India's this dollar 5 trillion, and then this journey which is beyond, and he's talking about Ram Madhav is talking about in this article that within 2035 we can also reach the dollar 10 trillion economy objective if we continue with this pace, with this growth, the effort, and then the revolution of AI and other efforts which are being taken place, and with the inclusive idea. Then what are the challenges and future prospects that is there for India's realization or India's path towards a global superpower? Obviously, this is a important objective which has its own challenges. Now, economic disparities there are there in the economy. So, despite rapid growth, income disparities, income divide, and regional imbalances still persist. Addressing these through inclusive policies and targeted developmental programs will remain a key challenge for sustainable growth. Then, if we come to the regional conflicts, now geopolitical complexities and regional conflicts, they are posing security challenges that require vigilant diplomacy and defense strategies. Now we have recently seen how India Pakistan war, and then how it has led to, and then India is coming up with that Operation Sindoor. Then maintaining peace and stability in the neighborhood is crucial for India's strategic interests. Now, even if we are talking about war, we also need to focus on how we can bring peace and stability in the region, for which India is continuously working on that perspective. Now, policy recommendations. What are the policy recommendations which we can talk about? So, to sustain its growth trajectory, India must focus on enhancing productivity, then innovation, investing in human capital. Now, streamlining regulations and a strong institutional framework will no doubt attract further investment and promote these areas. Now, long term vision. What are the long term vision which I told you about? That $1 trillion economy, if we by 35 we can extend to $10 trillion economy. Now, leading scientific and technological power and a net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. This requires continued strategic planning and consistent execution of reform agendas. So, India's path to becoming a global superpower, if we see, they are not without hurdles. So notably these are the few hurdles, and we have the long term strategic planning also, that if we overcome these through a scientific and technological vision, and then indigenous idea of expansion of our cultural expansion, so no doubt no one can stop India, and India already towards that superpower status. So it's all that how the nation, the global you can say sphere accepts that particular idea of India being a superpower. So I hope students, if you bring all these factors in your answer, like you have question like India as a global power, or India as a regional power, so India's realization towards superpower. So if you have any you can say questions which is very you can say it, if it is asking your own viewpoint, like do you think that, so even if you have that particular critical question also, if you are coming, so you can try and analyze it and put forth your vision. So you have to start from how the independence took place and what was the scene, the scenario, as I told about you, as far as the economic development is concerned, and then you can talk about the other areas also which are important, because you have very limited time. Within that 3 hours you have to write 5 questions. You cannot just put 1 hour on one question. So I have also talked about how to write a good answer, how many minutes you have to spend on a particular question. For long question, how many words. For short question, how many words. So you can go to the playlist and watch how to write a good answer, and then you can manage your time. Management is also very there important for your exams. So I hope this video will help you in doing more better in your paper, and if you need any clarification you can put your comment there. So thank you, have a nice day, and all the best again for your paper.